Good morning, everyone, and welcome to NYSE TV Live. I'm Kristen Scholler here in studio at the New York Stock Exchange. Well, the stock exchange is full of holiday cheer this morning, and we are not talking about only the 101st annual tree lighting taking place this afternoon, but of course our bell ringer as well. The Dow closed above 45,000 for the first time ever on Wednesday, with Dow Component and NYSE-listed company Salesforce leading the gains after it reported better than expected results and a better than expected outlook. Well, the Dow wasn't alone. Each of the major indexes notched a record close. And that is not the only milestone that we're watching across the markets. Bitcoin finally topping $100,000 a token for the first time late Wednesday. That move coming shortly after President-elect Donald Trump announced that he will be nominating Paul Atkins as SEC chair. Let's take a look at what's on tap in today's show. Investors are bracing for the November jobs report that's coming out Friday morning, and I'll speak with a pair of Wall Street experts about what we could expect and how it will impact the Fed's next rate decision in mid-December. Meanwhile, while Bitcoin crossed above that $100,000 a token barrier, my colleague Trinity Chavez is going to be joined by Robinhood's head of crypto, Johan Kerbrat, to talk about how much more this rally has in store and what the demand is that he's seen on Robinhood's platform. And we'll be setting the scene for the 101st NYSE tree lighting this afternoon. Throughout the next hour, we'll speak with some of the participating companies, even get a weather update from our in-house meteorologist, Dave Margolin. All right, let's turn back to our main story. That is, of course, the markets on a record tear that we see across the major indexes and Bitcoin, too. Joining me now with more is Brad Bernstein. He's a managing director at UBS Private Wealth Management. Brad, it's great to have you on the show this morning. Stocks just kind of pausing at these record levels as we await the opening bell. What are you advising your clients this time of year?
Well, right now we're historically in the best time of the year. December is one of the best months of the year, and with the new administration taking office, there's a lot of excitement. You know, you couple that with most likely another Fed cut on the 18th. Right now, market's looking at about a 75% chance. And as Jerome Powell said yesterday, we have a really strong economy. So when you couple a good economy with a Fed that's cutting rates, historically, you get great results. And I think markets look really great heading into the end of the year and next year.
I do want to ask, though, about the Fed's path forward, Brad, because, yes, Jerome Powell did note that the economy is on solid ground and the market is still largely pricing in a rate cut in about 2 weeks' time, as you mentioned. But it seems like traders are thinking it's less likely that the Fed will actually cut rates in January as well. How does maybe a slowing of the rate cuts previously forecast impact the stock market?
So our base case for 25 is 4 quarter cuts. Obviously, depending on the data, depending on the strength of the economy, specifically the labor market, which we'll get an update tomorrow morning, that will help either accelerate cuts or reduce cuts. But our base case right now, as of today, subject to change, is 4 cuts quarterly next year.
Interesting. And in terms of what you're seeing with President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet appointments, his picks for some of these major roles, including the next SEC chair, what does that mean for different sectors within the market?
Well, I think as a whole, you know, what the new administration is going to bring are a lot of positives for the markets. Number one, we're going to see a lot of deregulation. We've even seen chatter about it with people close to him this week. That's huge for a lot of areas in the market. Specifically, I think the biggest impact would be financials. And that's one of the reasons financials have had a really good move. And that is a sector we like a lot. I think, the concern that people have right now is the tariffs. But what we've seen in the last week is markets really shrug off the tariffs. And we think most likely the tariffs are going to be more of a negotiating tactic. But overall, I think the new administration will add fuel to the fire of the markets and the economy.
I do want to dive into tariffs a bit more, Brad, because certainly there are a lot of positives, as you referenced, under the hood, but main storylines, right, that clearly have been driving stocks the past few months or so. But we did see, as soon as President-elect Donald Trump announced his incoming pick for Treasury Secretary, someone who is viewed favorably by the investing community. Just within about 12 hours or so, he then said that there were more tariffs coming, specifically on Canada, Mexico, and China. Stocks did take a breather in the wake of that, and so I want to hear more about these negotiation tactics that you expect this social media tariff talk to really mean.
Sure. Just take a look at the actions and what happened in the last few days, right? So last week, Trump put out a message on social media talking about a 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico. What happened? The Trudeau was on a jet and having dinner with Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and the president of Mexico was on the phone within 24 hours with Trump, and they're already, negotiating and working with him to prevent this. So I think that is more to come. I think they have to talk tough, so to speak, about tariffs. And what we've seen, the markets kind of shrugged it off. And the good thing is markets hate uncertainty, and Trump is not on there. We've seen him before. We had 4 years of him before. Markets did over 16% a year under his administration. The first one, 2.0, I think looks really good. I think, for this administration, tariffs are a tool to get to help them move forward their goals and objectives for the economy.
Brad Bernstein, great to get your take this morning. We appreciate it. Brad's Managing Director at UBS Private Wealth Management.
Thank you.
All right, well, stay with us, because up next, the head of crypto at Robinhood is going to join us to talk about Bitcoin pushing through that $100,000 token barrier and how his platform is looking to lead the way when it comes to mainstream adoption of digital assets. Stay with us.
So now, Eric, this year, GIC is celebrating 40 years in the United States. What has this journey looked like for you?
We are so proud to be celebrating our 40th year in the US. In 1984, we opened up a small fixed income trading shop here. And the idea was we were a global investor, but we wanted to be local. And we thought it was really important to meet your partners in the market, get to understand the trends, and be there with the businesses that you're invested in. So we opened up our first office in what we thought was the most important market, the United States. We opened up an office 2 years later in San Francisco. And amazingly now, even 40 years later, we've got 11 offices around the world, and these are still combined our two biggest offices in the world. Along the way, we've also diversified what we do. So I mentioned we started with fixed income investing, but now all of our asset classes are invested here. So public markets like fixed income, public equities, our hedge funds business, but also our private markets, our private equity team, our infrastructure team, our real estate team. And the US has continued to grow in importance as a part of the portfolio, so it's now almost 40% of the overall exposure.
Now, Eric, tell me, what opportunities are you seeing in today's market?
Well, we always say prepare, don't predict. We do believe as investors and long-term investors that you want to be diversified. So if you look at our portfolio, it's globally diversified. It's also diversified across asset classes, but we do like to look for long secular themes. And so two that we are interested in are digitization. So we've seen a long tailwind on technology, and in particular in the US, which has been a real market leader for the last 20 years. We believe AI is really revolutionary technology, and we're investing in that space in a series of ways. A second would also be decarbonization. We do think the planet is getting warmer, and so there will be significant capital invested against mitigating that. And so over the next decade or two, we do think this is a huge opportunity for firms like GIC that are really focused on investing in these long-term projects, providing long-term solutions.
Welcome back to NYSE TV Live, everyone. I'm Kristen Schiller here in studio. One of the biggest storylines on Wall Street over the past month is Bitcoin's surge following the 2024 presidential election. I want to bring in my colleague, Trinity Chavez, with more. Trinity, good morning.
Good morning, Kristen. That's right. So you are exactly right when you come to the price of Bitcoin. It hit a record after the record high within the last 30 days, and it reached an uncharted territory just last night after topping $100,000. Now, the price of Bitcoin is currently trading at about $102,800 a token. And to put that rally into context, Bitcoin was trading at about $67,000 a token on election day. Now, financial services platform Robinhood is on a mission positioned to lead the way when it comes to mainstream crypto adoption amid the recent surge. Johan Kerbrat, General Manager and Vice President at Robinhood Crypto, is joining me now to talk more about this rally. So as you heard in the lead-in, it has jumped about 40% since Election Day. Talk to me more about what's your take on this, especially after Trump was announced the incoming president, and what does this say about the overall maturity of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin in the global economy?
Well, I think the market speaks for itself. The fact that it jumped to 100K for the first time after just a few weeks, if you think about it, really means that the new administration pro-crypto stance, or at least friendly crypto stance, is giving a lot of hope for the investor, and a lot of people are excited. Being in the space for more than a decade now, when we were discussing about the price of Bitcoin reaching out for the first time, 100 or 1,000, it's a very exciting moment for the industry.
Talk to me about how Robinhood is positioning itself to really deal with the influx or the popularity and the growth of Bitcoin.
Well, I think Robinhood has a unique advantage. It's a financial app that can manage multiple type of instruments, and so investors that are in equities can actually really easily get into the crypto space. But also at the same time, we are one of the most used platform for retail crypto in the US, and the reason for that is we made sure to remove the barrier to entry. We have a lot of educational content, and we have a very simple and easy to use application to get into the crypto.
And with President Trump nominating Paul Atkins as SEC chair, how do you think this is going to impact the overall regulatory environment when it comes to cryptocurrencies?
I think it's a great news. We had the past 4 years a lot of enforcement instead of regulation, and so I think with the new SEC chairman, we will actually get into a place where we can have regulation and where we can move forward the industry in the US. And so instead of having US companies moving away from the US, we are going to be able to build inside the country.
And in your opinion, how high do you think this Bitcoin rally could climb? Where do you think that can go?
I think it's very difficult to say. The particular thing about Bitcoin especially is the scarcity. There is only 21 million Bitcoin, and a lot of people are starting to use it as a reserve and also as a tool. And I think with the upcoming institution, there is not just the ETF now, there's also a lot of institutions thinking about it for their balance sheet. It's going to definitely create more demand for the asset.
What are some other key factors that could impact that outcome that you're projecting?
I think the demand, the usage, there is a lot of things that will vary, and there is also a lot of cryptocurrencies. So, there might be a diversification happening at some point.
Talk to me about what you think is going to happen over the next month as we see the incoming administration take place in January.
Well, there is a lot of rumor, around like tax of cryptocurrency, for example. There's also a lot of rumor around what type of regulation will be put in place. So I think we'll see a lot of discussion happening on the actual assets. But at the end of the day, I think what people need to think about is how to diversify their portfolio and not just be in one asset.
Talk to me about the recent activity that we have been seeing on your platform, and where do you think this surge is coming from? Because you've experienced some significant activity recently.
Yeah, we had a very good month for crypto. We had 30 billion in volume, which is a very large amount for our platform. And I think the main reason is what I mentioned, like people being able to go very easily from different type of assets into the crypto space, and also the fact that we have one of the lowest cost platform to buy crypto. And so, for a lot of customers, it's important to make sure that they can get their Bitcoin at the best price.
Thank you so much, Johan, for all of those key takeaways. It was really a pleasure having you on the show. There's going to be a lot to look out for as we see this new administration take shape. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, another story generating plenty of buzz, well, that's the holiday shopping season, of course. We're going to talk to you more about this just right after this break. Stay tuned.
Fiserv serves fundamentally every American household, largest payment processor and largest fintech in the world.
I do want to talk about Fiserv's third quarter report. It was showing significant growth, and especially when it comes to merchant solutions. Can you talk to me about what you think is fueling this growth and how you expect to continue that momentum?
We had 28% revenue growth in Clover, Our regions outside the U.S. also are growing very, very strong. Our commitment to small business, our commitment to innovation, along with our e-commerce capabilities. So, you know, being able to serve every household across the U.S. and then in multiple countries has given us great geographic diversity and given us great capability from the largest retailers to the smallest pizzeria.
And you actually just recently announced your collaboration, your partnership rather, with DoorDash on the Crimson program. Can you talk to us more about that and why this is such a significant milestone for Fiserv?
So what we did was create a solution set for DoorDash that allows them to be able to bring a better experience to their drivers, the Dashers. And it's really an integrated approach. It's using a series of products we have. We brought a couple of partners in, both in banking and in some other expertise, but ultimately it's our core product set.
How will this help kickstart Fiserv's expansion into other sectors?
Well, I think in fact it is an opportunity to show how we sit at the intersection of banking and merchant. You know, we are the only property that can sit at that intersection, that we could deliver payment processing, Clover, to a bank.
Welcome back to NYSE TV Live, everyone. I'm Kristen Schuller here in studio at the Stock Exchange. Well, at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, in just a few minutes, NYSE-listed retailer Bath & Body Works is going to ring the opening bell to kick off today's session. You've probably seen some of the signage behind me. The company's on hand as a first-time participant during this afternoon's tree lighting event. And the company is also celebrating its 13th annual Candle Day. Well, Bath & Body Works' motto is, "We believe in the power of fragrance." It's going to be on display all day, and there will be an 8-foot candle, believe it or not, outside as the tree lighting here at the Stock Exchange is taking place. While the company is also going to be giving away candles and hand sanitizers, so if you are in Manhattan, you definitely want to stop by. Well, joining me now to talk about the retail sector at large, including Bath & Body Works, is Trey Bodge. She's a smart shopping expert. Trey, it's great to see you, and December off to the races amid what was a record Cyber Monday and Black Friday for online. You have your pulse on the retail space. What can you tell us?
Oh, great to see you, Kristen. Yes, it's been a very exciting holiday shopping season so far. We did see some record numbers over Black Friday and Cyber Monday. However, I think that what we're going to see at the very end of this is that while consumers did spend a little bit more, they're not going to spend too much. I am seeing more conservative shopping. I am seeing a lot of promotional behavior. Consumers are really looking for those deals and sales. And so that's how I think it's going to play out as a whole.
What are some ways to get some of these flash sales, Trey, if people weren't able to take advantage on Cyber Monday or Black Friday?
Yeah, so a couple things to look at. You really want to focus on the categories that are going to be the most deeply discounted this month. And, you know, Bath & Body Works is one of those. They really focus on holiday themed items, especially their famous holiday candles and fragrances. And so you'll be seeing amazing deals from them and other companies that carry holiday themed merchandise. Also, winter apparel will be very well priced, as well as toys. But one thing that I would say is you always want to look to see if you can save more by using a deal site. Coupon Cabin is one of my favorites for the holiday season because they have an app that can be used in store, and then they also have a browser extension called the Sidekick. When you install it, it will search for deals for you as you're browsing online. And as you can imagine, online shopping, especially on your phone, is very popular right now.
It is indeed, and I feel like I am just inundated with all sorts of ads for deals and products, Trey. I'm curious to get your take in terms of how inventory is looking. If people haven't been able to buy their holiday presents yet, are they still in a good place before Christmas?
I have not seen any inventory issues. Of course, you probably remember through COVID, it was terrible. Consumers couldn't get what they wanted, and then we had shipping delays. So we're not seeing any of that, which is great. But just remember that this is a much shorter shopping period than we're accustomed to. There are 5 fewer days between Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. So if you have not started, you should definitely get started. And then something else, though, that I'm seeing a rise in are scams. AI is becoming very sophisticated. There's an interesting McAfee study that found that 31% of people encountered a scam during their holiday shopping last year, and I expect that number to grow. So if you are going to be doing a lot of holiday shopping and shopping on your phone, you might want to invest in some security software. And I know that McAfee, like many other companies right now, is having a big sale.
It's interesting to see, Trey, some of the data that's been coming in as well. It seems like apparel and shoes are very popular. They have been very popular for about the past 4 to 6 weeks or so. Maybe less electronics. Is there any more light you can shed on that?
Yeah, so it's very typical, actually, in my experience, to see strong sales in apparel, especially around Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It's one of the top categories that I always call out. And the reason why is because it's the end of the fall season. And so retailers are looking to move that fall merchandise out. And now that we're heading into winter, we'll see better pricing on winter apparel and footwear. But you're right. Fall apparel and footwear was very, very popular over Cyber Monday and Black Friday.
And I'm curious, too, in terms of the state of the consumer, it seems like all systems go here. The consumer is pretty strong. Is that your take?
Yeah, I think it's strong, but again, more conservative. So I think we're going to come out at the end of the season, maybe with what the National Retail Federation is predicting, a 2.5 to 3.5% jump, which, as you know, is quite modest. I mean, I'm hoping we'll beat that a little bit. We are seeing, obviously, a break in inflation and some prices are coming down. So hopefully consumers are feeling a little bit more confident about their finances right now.
Anything else our viewers need to know heading into the end of the year, Trey?
Yeah, just make sure that you're staying organized while you're shopping. A list is very helpful and not one that's in your head. If you have it on your notes app on your phone, for example, and you go into the stores, it will help you stay on track versus going into the stores and there's all the excitement in the crowds and you can tend to veer off and go off budget and perhaps do a little too much self-gifting. And it's nice to treat yourself, but do that modestly because you certainly don't want to go into 2025 with unwanted credit card debt.
I think that's a great insight there. Are you a candle fan? We got all sorts of candles down here on the floor of the stock exchange today.
I love candles. Yes, absolutely.
All right, me too. Trey Bodge, great to see you as always. Thank you so much for the tips. Trey is a smart shopping expert at True Trey. All right, well, thousands are going to gather outside of the stock exchange for this afternoon's tree lighting. And up next, find out what type of weather event goers, including myself and my colleague Trinity Chavez, will encounter on the other side of this break.
If I go back to 2021, it was really the first time in the company's history that we actually had an investor day where we showcased our first essentially 3-year strategy for the group. And it was very clear, very focused strategy. It was really about diversification, about the fact that we wanted to increase the franchise value of our reinsurance business, but we also wanted to get scale and expand on the insurance franchise. Once you have that roadmap and that vision and you have excellent people, it's amazing what you can accomplish. And I look at where we are now, 5 years later, basically. The company has more than doubled in size. Our stock has gone up over 60% over that period of time, better than the S&P. Our book value per share, which is a critical measure in insurance, is also up over 60%. And we have improved pretty much every facet of the company, from underwriting discipline to operating discipline. But one of the most important things we have done is we have created a culture of inclusion and collaboration. That's frankly what allows us to accomplish what I just discussed. One of the great things about insurance is that we have jobs for everybody, regardless of where you come from. But no, I did not think that insurance was going to be where I ended up. Mm-hmm. I had gone to the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies for my master's. I have a master's in international economics. I speak 3 languages, and I had a lot of experience in Latin America. So I thought there's got to be a multinational company out there that could use somebody with my talents. But I didn't know what industry, and I didn't care what industry at the time, to be perfectly honest. So I had applied to different companies. And the way I ended up in insurance is my older brother, who had worked for McKinsey & Company for a long time, had said, listen, AIG likes people with your background. And for me, diversification is about a few things. It's about geography. It's about line of business, so property insurance, casualty insurance, aviation, different kinds of things. It's about insurance business and a reinsurance business.
Welcome back to NYSE TV Live, everyone. I'm Kristen Scholler here in studio. Well, we are just a few hours away from the 101st NYSE tree lighting. That is, of course, going to be taking place outside of the stock exchange. So what will Mother Nature have in store for event goers this afternoon? Trinity Chavez is on the floor with more. Hi, Trinity.
Hey, Kristen, that's right. Winter weather has arrived here in New York City, and we'll be wearing our heavy coats and scarves during this afternoon's festivities set to begin at 3 p.m. Eastern. But what else should those attending be prepared for? Well, to break it all down, ice meteorologist Dave Margolin is joining me now. Dave, I mean, you are the man with the plan. So talk to us about what we can expect later this afternoon as we're covering the tree lighting in just a few hours.
Sure. Thanks, Trinity. Well, it's a mixed bag, some good and bad. The precipitation, the little snow and rain we had this morning should move out, and we should also see more sunny conditions for this afternoon. The bad news is behind this cold air mass, or this air mass that moved through, is going to be some colder air and a lot windier conditions. We'll probably see wind gusts up to 40, 50 miles an hour.
You know, I just want to point out the crowd behind me. Again, there's dozens of people from Bath and Body Works here celebrating on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange as we kick off the tree lighting later this afternoon. So we're probably getting images of that at some point in time during this interview. But Dave, I also want to talk to you more about, we're coming off 2 mild winters, so to speak. So what do you think people should anticipate this winter, and how does it compare to last?
Well, so let's start with the next couple weeks. The next couple weeks, we are going to see a transition to warmer conditions. So the cold that's here and that's been in the Midwest, Northeast the last couple days, it does look short-lived, and we're going to move back to an above normal temperature regime for the next 2 weeks. Beyond there, I would say the two main signals that we have kind of looking into this winter are the climate signal, right? The climate change signal, which is sort of set a new baseline about 2 to 3 degrees warmer than what we've seen. But you can still see warm and cold seasons, you know, around that sort of new baseline. The other signal is the La Nina signal, where we're moving into a weak La Nina, and it affects more of the configuration of the weather. And what that means is we're more likely to see warmer than normal conditions in the southeast and toward the east coast of the U.S., and colder than normal conditions across the northwest and north.
What would you say are the regions that are the coldest or the snowiest, so to speak, this holiday season? Well, this winter season, rather.
Yeah, I would say there's a couple areas that stand out, but probably the main area as a function of sort of just, you know, kind of where they're located, but also the La Nina Bay State, are going to be the Pac Northwest and sort of the northern areas of the country. That's where we're most likely to see some really good cold events coming out of Canada and the potential for snow. But a secondary area that we're going to have to watch is sort of along the Ohio Valley, because that's sort of where you're going to see the crossroads, where you're going to see the cold and warm air masses kind of clash. And it's typically during those kinds of events where we see more wintry weather.
How might this winter's forecast affect energy demand and supply, specifically when it comes to heating and fuels like natural gas?
Well, I would say, you know, the baseline here is that storage, natural gas storage, is at one of the highest levels, I think, since 2016. So we're starting at a high level. And again, as we sort of just already talked about, most of the market forecasts that we've seen so far and indicators are suggesting we're going to be warm. That being said, there's always factors that can come in sort of sub-seasonally that are not well predicted this time of year. So the two things I think we're going to have to watch out for, it's a little technical, but a sudden stratospheric event or a strong MGO event, which in some cases can cause 4 to 6 week periods of significant cold and are not well predicted this far out.
Tell me something, as our meteorologist, are you going to be outside with us for the tree lighting later this afternoon?
As long as it doesn't get too windy, I'll be out there.
How are you going to weather this weather?
Well, I usually just put on a cap and a coat and I get outside.
Well, they do say that about 90% of our body heat escapes through our head and our ears. So it's good if you want to, pack that hat. You're going to need it.
Maybe earmuffs too.
Oh, earmuffs. Earmuffs are good. I'm going to be wearing earmuffs.
Scarf. Yeah.
And maybe you could pick up an apron from Bath and Body Works just behind us. I know that they are handing them out in the crowd that's gathering right underneath the bell podium as we get ready to ring the opening bell. In fact, we're about 10 seconds out right now. So let's tune into that. And then Kristen is going to welcome us back on the other side.
Welcome back to NYSE TV Live, everyone. That is the opening bell. Bath & Body Works celebrating the market open alongside our president, Lynn Martin, on the podium there. And as we are off to the races with stocks right near record highs across the board, Bitcoin surpassing $100,000 a token last night for the first time ever, also at a record. I do want to bring in a markets guest, Chris Vecchio. He's the head of futures and Forex at Tasty Live. Chris, thank you so much for joining. And what do you make of this market?
Good to see you again, Kristen. I think it's been some time since I last talked with you on Cheddar. In any event, as we enter this month of December, the market clearly is in a celebratory mood. A lot of the issues that were plaguing indecision in recent months, the Fed's path of rate cuts and who would win the election, are now in the rearview mirror. The question heading into the last few weeks of this year is how much further can we run up from here? And the fact of the matter is that market participants still may be too bearish. The recent AAII investor sentiment survey showed that bears outnumbered bulls for the first time since April. Historically, when we've seen swings in this AAII bull-bear spread over a 3-month window like we just saw, it typically coincides with a market low, which is obviously not where we are right now, but it does underscore the fact that there still may be some legs to the bull through the end of 2024.
I do want to drill in on the Fed interest rate policy because you bring up a good point, Chris. Yes, markets by and large, I think a 75% chance at least the traders are betting that the Fed will cut rates again in December in 2 weeks' time by another quarter percentage point. But it's getting less likely, according to trader bets, that we see a rate cut in January. How does the recent landscape and comments just yesterday by the Fed Chair Jerome Powell set us up for the rate path in 2025?
Well, we really need to go back to August when we had that slightly weaker than expected non-farm payrolls report that stirred up all of the recession fears. When the Federal Reserve cuts rates by 50 basis points in September, they're doing so under the guise that the labor market's starting to crack. But the reality of the situation is, as we saw with today's jobless claims data, the labor market's still in pretty good shape. We have a 4 handle on the unemployment rate. Inflation is in the 2s. And top-line GDP, according to the Atlanta Fed GDP Now growth model, is sitting right around 3%. The economy is performing much better than the Fed expected at this point in time. So the lack of rate cuts that are priced in is not necessarily a hawkish shift by the Fed. It's an acknowledgement that we just don't need lower rates at this point in time. That hasn't been a problem for stocks all year long. The market enjoys a growing economy with expanding corporate profits.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, right? Because we've seen a 2-year bull market plus. Now, of course, the bottom was in October of 2022, and we did see stocks continue to rise, of course, back on the back of solid economic data and still high rates. Chris, I want to get your take on Bitcoin. It is the topic of conversation, surpassing $100,000 a token. What do you make of that token?
This has been quite the run since the election, and I see a lot of enthusiasm around people saying now is the time to get in at 100K. Those voices really weren't saying that it was time to get in when the market was trading at 65 or 70K. So there is a sentiment overhype here right now in the short term. That said, where does this end? That's a great question. A big premise of why people are interested in Bitcoin is that it's a fixed supply, and that supply is never going to increase as we see continued deficit spending from the world's major governments in the West, as central banks continue to flood the zone with liquidity. The rationale for holding Bitcoin, at least in theory, it's becoming stronger and stronger over time. So studies show that having some allocation to Bitcoin as part of a longer-term portfolio actually helps reduce your beta-weighted deltas, and more importantly, brings up your Sharpe ratio. So about a 3 to 4% allocation is appropriate for most longer-term investors. And quite frankly, it's been one of the best performing asset classes since the election. It's been the best since the election. So a small allocation would be doing a nice little lift here for most people. Small allocations for most individual investors is the appropriate bet for the crypto space. Obviously for traders, that's a different story, but crypto traders are a unique breed.
I see that you are bullish on an NYSE listed company, Kava, the fast casual chain. What is behind that take?
Consumers right now in the United States are actually on pretty strong footing when you look across the board. Deloitte publishes a financial confidence index, if you will, and it's sitting right now at a 4-year high. That's about income relative to savings, confidence in being able to make an next big purchase, a few other various criteria. But consumers right now have seen their savings rate go up over the past quarter. Credit card delinquencies are down. There's a high desire to spend money at levels outside in the economy, at restaurants, hotels, for travel, levels not unseen since 2021. And as we know, that was the post-pandemic breakout, escaping our homes. So the consumer right now is confident. It's particularly higher income consumers that are more confident than ever. And that in and of itself is a trend that should continue into 2025, at least the early part of 2025. The economy just has a lot of momentum right now, and it's thanks in part to the strong consumers, and that flows downhill to those retailers and restaurant companies like Kava, for example.
Chris Vecchio, great to see you and get your take. We appreciate it. He is the head of futures and Forex at Tasty Live. All right, as we inch closer to this afternoon's tree lighting, we're going to be speaking with the NYSE's global head of listings. You hear some cheering behind me, and a few participating companies at the tree lighting after the break.
You're here at the New York Stock Exchange for our annual Space Summit. This is your first year attending. Talk to me about why it was important for you to attend.
For decades, space was not really talked about, and particularly in the world of investing and early stage investing, it was not a smart investment to make. It was not, viewed as salient or viable given the long time horizons, the capital intensity, and that is all changing. So all of the work that the industry has been doing behind those closed doors, behind the curtain, is now coming to fruition. And so the best time to make these investments, especially in early stage, is just before something is about to happen and having that timing exactly right. And so that timing is now.
Talk to me about, from your standpoint, the criteria in which you consider before deciding who you want to invest in.
The fact of the matter is 776 is a generalist firm. And so this is not our deep area of expertise. We are an inch deep, a mile wide across different sectors, which is a beautiful position to be in, to really understand how all of these economies fit together. And for me, the interesting thing about space is that they're actually creating their own new economy. And so the in-space economy for me is wildly fascinating. And the opportunity, from an investment perspective is massive. And the opportunity and the capabilities that this is going to breed for us here on Earth, for humanity, the human side of this is absolutely fascinating for me. And so we typically make one moonshot investment per fund. And so we're relatively new to the space as investors, to the sector, I should say.
Yeah,
the sector of space, yes. and so I'm really here to learn. I'm here to understand what people are talking about, where the industry movers and shakers are. But the deeper I get into this, the more and more obsessed I've become.
And where would you say the different areas in space are you targeting right now?
There's a lot of...
Welcome back to NYSE TV Live. I'm Kristen Scholler. SRTX is one of the companies that'll be participating in this afternoon's tree lighting to show off its technology. Let's take a look at our Judy Shaw speaking with the company's CEO earlier this year.
Joining me today on NYSE Floor Talk is Catherine Hometh. She is the founder and CEO at SRTX. Catherine, it's fantastic to have you on the show. Thanks for joining me on Floor Talk.
Oh, thank you for having me today.
Well, it's great to be here at the New York Stock Exchange at the IPO Summit.
Yes.
And I want to learn more about your company. So tell me about SRTX. What do you do?
Of course. So SRTX is a Canadian-based materials innovation and manufacturing company. So we produce next-generation materials and software for the apparel industry to bring it into the next era. And we're best known for our first technology, SheerTex, which is practically unbreakable tights made with one of the world's strongest polymers.
And tell me, how do SheerTex and other SRTX innovations align with your vision for transforming the apparel industry?
The way that we look at it is that apparel needs change in so many different ways, from regulation to materials to inventory overages, and we look at vertical integration as a way that we can actually control every single input back to the very beginning and also produce more durable, better, forever chemical-free products that can fuel this next era. So we build both software to run manufacturing, which is what all of our own manufacturing is built on, but we also specialize in ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene, which we believe will be the nylon of the next 10 to 20 years, ultimately making everything that we wear circular and more durable.
And tell me, what approaches do you use to balance tech innovations with environmental sustainability?
We really believe that environmental sustainability and cost reduction can go hand in hand, and I think they have to for the industry to truly transform. And what we found is by vertically integrating, cutting out all of the middlemen, and understanding where every single input comes from, and integrating automation and technology into your product, you can actually get to a low-cost product that is more sustainable and a higher quality than before. We're a B Corp certified company, we run off of renewable energy, and we've managed to do all of this with domestic manufacturing. We control all of our own factories in Montreal.
All right, and tell me, Catherine, how are you embracing AI?
AI obviously is the talk of the town these days, but for us, smart factories has been part of our DNA from day one. And every single factory is run off of Cortex, which is our proprietary software that ensures that we're producing the right thing at the right time for the right customer, avoiding those casualties of inventory buildup, but also being able to cut out all of the little things that add up into the adding cost to a sustainable product, and making sure that we can not just do that in our own factory, but take it to other factories globally.
And finally, tell me, as you look to the year ahead, what are you most focused on?
As we look to the year ahead, for us, it's all about scale. We're lucky our SheerTex product is already the #1 selling tights in the US. We want to bring that global, and we want to start moving into new product categories. WaterTex is our new hydrophobic waterproof technology that is coming to the market this year, and it's just about scale and really seeing this go global.
All right, well, sounds like exciting things going on. It's great to have you on Floor Talk. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, I want to bring in my colleague Trinity Chavez, of course, who's going to join me at today's tree lighting outside. Trinity, I'm gearing up for that big event. I know you are too. And give us a rundown of what we can expect as we head outside later.
Well, you know what? Before I get to that, Kristen, you know that apron I was talking about earlier? Wow, it looks like I got one, along with dozens of other people here on the trading floor. And if you take a look at this table right here, this is just some of the products that Bed Bath & Beyond are showcasing. Bath & Body Works are showcasing here today. They are going to be participating in the 101st tree lighting here, the annual Christmas tree lighting at the New York Stock Exchange. And I just want to point out that dozens of people who are here, about 200 people right now, are on this trading floor to celebrate the kickoff of the 101st Christmas tree lighting here at the New York Stock Exchange. Over 35 activations are taking place right now. They're setting up as we speak right outside, and over 450 organizations and charities are also participating in the giving event. And as you see behind me, there's a lot of action just happening, and I can't even explain to tell you how good it smells on this trading floor. With the products that they brought over today, along with the candles, it's just absolutely incredible. And everybody is just gearing up for such a fun, festive day. I know you and I are going to be outside in just a few hours as we kick off all of the festivities and all the performances that we have lined up and ready to go.
Trinity, what is the flavor, the scent of that candle? Because I gotta tell you, I am a fan of the Bath & Body Works candles. It's been Candle Day this week. What is the flavor? Is it a holiday flavor?
Actually, hold on. Let me take a look here, because I don't have a third hand, but Okay, so we're looking at winter candy apple, and I just want to take a smell of this because, like I said, the trading floor completely smells amazing. Yeah, I mean, this is just, if you could put a holiday in a candle, this is what it would smell like. And again, Bed Bath & Beyond are just one of the many NYSE listed companies that are going to be partaking in today's festivities. Like I said, over 35 activations are all set up outside on the corner of Wall and Broad Streets in Lower Manhattan, the Concrete Canyon as we like to call it. Thousands of people from around the city come here to convene in Lower Manhattan to take part in all of the festivities, and again, active trading floor. This is just giving our viewers a sneak peek as to what happens inside the confines of the walls of 11 Wall here at the New York Stock Exchange. But again, we're going to be covering it, Kristen. We're going to be having some hot cocoa later, talking to the CEO of Build-A-Bear and so many more other people. I know the CEO of Coca-Cola, I think you'll be speaking with them a little bit later on today too. So to all of our viewers, if you're in the New York City area, make sure you come down to enjoy all the festivities we are offering at the New York Stock Exchange. So
So now, Chris, tell me about the MLS Innovation Lab program and what it means for Major League Soccer.
So we launched Innovation Lab last year because, MLS has always been at the very forefront of innovation. We were one of the first leagues in the world to launch automated review. We, have our global media partnership with Apple, but we never had a formal innovation program. And so we thought this would be a great opportunity for us to take all the energy from our league, our clubs, our youth leagues, and centralize it and build one central program that we call the Innovation Lab. We see hundreds and hundreds of companies apply every year, and we select the best 6 or 8 to work with us on a 9-month program where they get to really test and try out their technologies. We get to spend time with amazing young founders, and together we get to build the future of sport in North America.
Now, when it comes to evaluating companies to invite to participate in the program and for MLS to potentially invest in, what are you looking for?
Of course, it always starts with what's the idea? Does this founder have something we think is compelling that we can actually use in MLS or in one of our academies? And so that's the starting point. What's the technology? What's the product? And is it interesting to us? And then we do all of the normal things. We spend time with the founding team. We understand, what their vision is, who they are as people. Finances of the company, of course, matter. And then we evaluate all of that, and we go through a deep screening process, lots of cuts, and then come up with the final couple companies.
And tell me, what have been the biggest learnings so far from the MLS Innovation Lab? And personally, what have you enjoyed the most?
So the best is spending time with founders. I mean, you get to do it every day. The energy that startup founders bring is just incredible. Their ingenuity, their drive, their passion. I would highly recommend for any CEO, any executive, to go get out of your office and go spend time in the startup world and bring some of that energy back to your company.
Welcome back to NYSE TV Live, everyone. I'm Kristen Schuller here in studio. We can take a look at the Dow and see how we are setting up for trade. We're just about 17 minutes into the start of trade, and stocks taking a breather after what has been a very strong run, and investors clearly keen on equities. A record $141 billion funneling into U.S. equities in the 4-week stretch in November, and record highs have continued into December. There you see the Dow not even down 0.1% in today's session. All right, well, this afternoon, Wall and Broad Streets are going to be filled with thousands of people as the 101st NYSE annual tree lighting commences. Businesses will also be on hand providing treats and giveaways to those in attendance, and it does include the famous steakhouse Delmonico's. Karen Serafian, thank you so much, of the restaurant's private dining and business development team, joins me now. Karen, thank you so much for doing this. We got a lot of moving parts here, of course, for tree lighting, but we're happy to have you. And you brought something with us. What is this?
I brought our famous Manhattan clam chowder that we are serving today. And one of the reasons why we're serving it is not only is it chilly out, but Delmonico's invented Manhattan clam chowder along with other things, including Eggs Benedict, baked Alaska, lobster Newburgh, and today we're celebrating Manhattan clam chowder.
Okay, amazing. And so anyone who's down here in Lower Manhattan for the tree lighting can take advantage of this, is that right?
Absolutely. This is our second year since we reopened. Since the pandemic. So we are.
Karen, stay with us. We are going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back. We'll have more up next.
Together, we built something truly beautiful in the true iconic notion of what America is all about.
This is our task, this is our mission. We have a clear focus and we have the ability to be agile and innovate.
It takes years of dedication to get us to this milestone. It is all because of you.
Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. It is the only thing that ever has.
To be a woman leader, it's not so easy, but it's easy if the passion and the love is coming from your heart.
The New York Stock Exchange is the symbol of what America is all about. The potential of capitalism, the potential of an American dream.
The only way you can move a society forward is a true expression of freedom.
Welcome back to NYSE TV Live, everyone. I'm Kristen Scholler in studio. Well, joining me now from Delmonico's, a staple down here in Lower Manhattan, is Karen Sarafian. She is here with the famous clam chowder as we get ready to celebrate the holiday season. Karen, talk to me more about what is on tap.
Well, we're delighted to be a participant once again, and we are serving our delightful Manhattan clam chowder. And the reason we are serving this in particular is because obviously it's chilly out, but we are the creators of Manhattan clam chowder along with Eggs Benedict, baked Alaska, lobster Newburgh, and of course the Delmonico steak, but we thought Manhattan clam chowder would be fitting for this special celebration.
It looks absolutely delicious. So anyone who's down here in Lower Manhattan and it's nice and warm can take advantage of this. They just come to your booth and pick some up?
Correct.
Okay,
yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
And talk to me about what else is going on at Delmonico's during this holiday season.
Well, we are fully decorated and in full holiday spirit. The dining rooms look absolutely stunning. We have beautiful facade outside that really you can see from anywhere in the Wall Street area. It's beautifully lit up. And we're serving all our wonderful staples. Of course, our Delmonico steak, chicken a la king, which we invented, lobster Newburgh, our wedge salad. Wonderful holiday parties are being held there. We have groups from 5 to 500 joining us to celebrate the holidays this season.
Should we try some of the
Absolutely.
Manhattan clam chowder? Okay, so remind me what exactly goes into clam chowder. Clam chowder, Karen.
This particular clam chowder was in a cookbook written by one of our chefs, Alessandro Filippini, in 1889, and the recipe has not changed much, except this particular version does not include pork. Okay. Obviously it has clams, it has tomatoes, it has carrots, it has onions, all kinds of wonderful herbs. And the recipe really hasn't changed in almost 200 years.
It smells so delicious, can I tell you?
you.
And especially for a cold, windy day.
Yes,
it's
we thought
perfect.
It was perfect.
All right. So
you have to let me know what you think.
Okay, great. So I'm going to try it now.
Good.
It's so good.
It's good, right?
I must say, yeah. And the veggies, that makes it. This is perfect.
I love it too. It's one of our favorites.
So anyone can get this at Delmonico's during the holiday season?
Yes, we change our soups.
Yep.
One day we'll have Manhattan clam chowder. We had butternut squash yesterday. So every day it's a different one. But this is always available to our special guests.
Was this your favorite dish?
This is one of my favorites. I think my favorite is our classic Delmonico steak.
Yeah, I know. The Delmonico steak is amazing. We always love going there. This, of course, appears to be a cookbook. Is that right?
Yes, this is called The Delmonico Way. It's written by Max Tucci, whose family owned Delmonico's for a number of years, and he's written a wonderful cookbook sort of outlining the history of Delmonico's and wonderful ways to entertain.
Well, Karen, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Delmonico's is such a staple here in
Thank
Manhattan,
you.
and especially downtown as well. The Manhattan clam chowder is perfection.
Thank you.
So I'm glad I was able to taste it, of course.
Come visit us.
Yes, I will be indeed this holiday season. And for all of our viewers, make sure to go to Delmonico's outside of the stock exchange today for the tree lighting too. All right, well, my colleague Trinity Chavez is back on the trading floor with another company set to partake in today's event. Trinity.
Hey, Kristen, that's right. So as a part of today's festivities, we're highlighting a brand that's all about making bold statements, both in fashion and in impact. Mess in a Bottle is a t-shirt company with messages packed in reusable bottles, and it's on a mission to spark conversations and drive change. Joining us now is the founder and CEO of Kalila Wright. She is Kalila Wright, and she's going to share more about her unique business and meaningful mission. And you actually have on one of the sweaters today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it, because you look fabulous.
Thank you. So 'tis the season to invest in one another. It is really important, when New York Stock Exchange came to Mess in a Bottle and they wanted to do this partnership and collaboration, I was just like, this is the perfect message for this, monumentous event that you guys have, the 101 year of it. So,
being a part of this significant event, as you said, tell me, what sort of message is that sending to your consumers? What do you hope to achieve by participating?
especially it being the holidays, I want people to know that it is important to pour into each other. That is the purpose of Mess in a Bottle. We want to give messages to each other, and this is the season where everyone needs it.
Talk to me more about the offerings that you're going to be sharing with the audience today.
So we have sweatshirts, and they say, as strong as the woman next to me. And they are for men, women, children, because we know that women are as strong as the person next to them.
How do you, from your vantage point, plan to continue this dialogue and inspire others for change and to make a meaningful difference in society?
I think it's important for us to lean into our mess. Nothing is perfect. Everything is going to be awry, but what you need is to make sure that you invest in each other for it to all come together.
Walk us through your business strategy, right? Tell me about how you go about the ordering process, the making of the t-shirts or the sweatshirts. Walk me through that whole strategy and the message that you would like to share with consumers.
Sure. So Mess in a Bottle, we started in Baltimore, Maryland, and we are still there. We're in the Mount Vernon area, and we create these t-shirts. We manufacture and make them in-house, and then they are then packaged, rolled, and then stuffed into this reusable bottle. And the reason is we want people that after you receive the message, for you to feel empowered to always wear it.
And Kalila, as you said, things get messy. Nothing's perfect. No one's perfect, right? So talk to me about some of the challenges as an entrepreneur that you faced and how you went about overcoming them.
Well, just recently, unfortunately, we were vandalized. And it's the holiday season, so it was pretty tough, and it was difficult on just my emotion, not the window and not what happened, but just emotionally. But then I quickly realized that it's okay that things are a mess, because it's how you come back from that mess. And now I'm here at the New York Stock Exchange, excited to give away sweatshirts, to people. So really excited.
Just briefly, we have about 45 seconds left. Talk to me about what's next for Mess in a Bottle. How do you plan to continue to evolve?
Well, I'm going to say it here. I would love to be publicly traded one day. That is, this is just marking such a significant moment for me, and I'm just looking forward to whatever mess is next.
Amazing. Whatever mess is next. And you know what? You came on such an exciting day. Bath & Body Works was here with the candles. And tell me how it smells amazing on the trading floor.
It does. Oh my gosh, they are a fan favorite, so I love it.
Well, we all love it. And, we look forward to seeing you later. And I'm going to try on one of those sweatshirts later on.
Thank you.
Now that just about does it for us here at the New York Stock Exchange. We got a tree lighting to get to. So thank you all for tuning in. And we will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m.
I'm reminded that it's not about the destination. It is truly about the journey.
My pleasure to greet you today from the center of the U.S. capital markets here at the New York Stock Exchange.
I want to just take a minute and not just talk to the people that are in the room, but I want to speak to the rest of the team around the globe. These are people that made this happen, and I know that there is no way we would be here if it wasn't for you.
Everyone at Flutter is proud to join such a distinguished list of companies on this great stock exchange.
Not many people get to do something big in this world, and we get to do something truly special.
This is such a wonderful place to both look back and look forward. Look how far we have come. I'm so optimistic about what